views, thoughts, and opinions expressed in this podcast are the content creator's own and do not represent the views, thoughts, and opinions of Essex County College. The material and information presented here is for entertainment and informative purposes only. It should not be considered as professional advice or a substitute for seeking professional guidance.
So today on the Loner, we're going to go ahead and just do this ranking again since I've been lacking it, since once again I'm creatively bankrupt. So if you already know by now, it's basically me taking some classes. Since it's not the top 6 or 7, you know what? I think you already get the gist of it. I'm not going to be doing this joke again. Instead, we have some fun classes since I took some 5 classes and I regret choosing those 5 classes. Not to say that I hated these classes, but you can say taking 5 classes while doing a whole video, while taking the podcast club, that's one of the main reasons why I tried to clarify that I wanted to take a break. And there wasn't really anything wrong with getting help, but it really is what it is. If you really want to see my attempt at recording my announcements, and go ahead and check out last week's episode. But anyways, it's actually now time to go ahead and rank my 5 classes for this semester. So starting at number 5, we're going to be looking at animation class. And there wasn't really wrong with Mr. Smith again. Previously, I said with photography, it felt a bit underwhelming. Now, if you took fall classes, then you would have done more. Except now, instead of having Friday classes on one, he now has classes on Thursdays, and so some things have changed with him since he's now a full-time teacher, or at least a full-time professor. I believe that's what I saw on the registration sheet. Not the registration sheet, but on the website. My portal, on Essex, whatever it is. So, like I said, there wasn't really wrong with the professor. The only issue with this class was just only the software. So we barely even did anything. Aside from trying to go ahead and do a 90-minute music video, which involved, you could say the groups hasn't really gone well. Like, some of the projects hasn't gone well to where I barely even did anything for animation class. Not to say that this class was forgettable or anything, but this also made me learn that the day that if I were to be an animator, then it would have been more difficult. And that's how I would say, the easiest thing to make a video is just by making a whole video, using an iPhone or using a mirrorless camera or a full-frame camera. And I already discussed it enough back in short-form SLAOs, because there's a whole difference between it. But at this point, I'm not going to talk more about it up until later on. Now, the only reason why I would say it's number 5 is just because of the software. Not everything that was available at that time, and even today, it's still not available. Like Adobe After Effects, and so instead we have to go ahead and use DaVinci Resolve, and some of them actually have access to it for free. And even we tried to go ahead and do, Pencil 2D, but even that was just oversimplifying the process of animation, but that was the closest thing he could find to gain access to animation cloud, to even do some basic 2D animation. But aside from that, I don't really think you're going to get as far as doing a completely polished animation. I would say with 2 weeks, with 2 weeks to spare, I think it's just me rushing production. But even then, I wouldn't call it as a A project, but instead I may just end up getting a B. And that also may affect my status as a PTK student. But then again, at the end of the day, what are we really going to do if Jerry's not really going to be there because of his medical issues? And then we ended up having to regroup, and that means I had to go ahead and go solo. Since I was no longer a part of Group 2, instead I decided to go ahead and do Lost in Jersey City. And just to give you a quick story, I think last month I tried to go home, but suddenly I really didn't feel any well that I just wanted to go home. I thought I wasn't going to go ahead and wait for the 34S to come in and then just send me home. So instead I decided to go ahead and just go take the 25. And and then afterwards I just tried to go home. I already knew the Newark police station wasn't my home, so I just thought, what if I stayed a bit longer until I find the right place to get myself home? And unfortunately, there were many people blocking my way, and only the front door was open, not the back door. Back door was broken. Only the front door was there. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to make it in because there were some passengers that blocked my way. They just blocked my view to where I wasn't really. Probably by the time by the time this episode's over, I'm going to have that same issue every day. But that only depends if I take the 3:30 bus. Then that's when a bunch of Eastside students is gonna come in and just block my way, and then I have to go ahead and take the 25 or the 1, which means I may end up going to a different city. And that's actually what happened to me. The 34S was like there was already way too many students, way too many girls in there. I decided to go ahead and walk away. I tried to go to the 34S, but yeah, there were fish. Like there was no space that I just took the nearest bus, not became the 25. So I actually thought that you can say I thought I was gonna get home, but yeah, unfortunately, I ended up going to Jersey City, which means technically you can call me as a law student because for some reason I don't really have any purpose to be in Jersey City. I don't even know what was I gonna do in Jersey City. So I actually just almost got myself lost until I found Checkers, and I thought, wow, I am pathetic because that was just a complete oversight. So I got lost for a little bit, but thankfully there was a gas station. So I just took some muffin, I just took some Snapple, and then I just took a new 5-hour energy, and I just did what I really had to do. My feet was hurting, but at the end of the day, what else was I gonna do? Because I wasn't gonna go ahead and just get out of the nearest KFC in Jersey City, and then go ahead and walk for like 15 minutes just so I can go ahead and find the nearest bus. Like because I was completely like at the end of the day, you could probably say I was lucky enough that I didn't really have to wait for that long, or for so long, just for the bus, just only for bus one to come in and just take us home for free. I don't even think he had the time to go ahead and scan all the IDs or the cards, and so this guy just let us just ride the bus for free, even though I already have my school ID, not my school ID, but my bus ID from NG Transit. So that's the point of Lost in Jersey City. Basically, it's just a journey to where am I going, and it's basically the theme, and the theme of it is called loneliness. Yeah, and then my accent is completely off, but loneliness. So that's what's going to really happen. So Abandonment After Hours is going to probably maybe my first EP before my soul has moved on. Because originally this was going to be my debut EP, but maybe it's time that before I start that project, even though it's been going on for 2 years, why not I start something new, start something from scratch? And so instead, if I decide to go ahead and start actually 24 for real, the first thing I will do is just make my EP called Abandonment After Hours, and it's going to be a concept waking up overnight, and this is basically based on the views of a night person. So from 12 a.m. to 6 a.m. And now I actually have two tracks in production, so at least I gained something out of it. Tracks 1 and 4, I have no idea what I'm doing, so I'm still trying to figure out what I'm going to be doing next. Track 3 is called Lost in Jersey City, and so that's going to be the music video. And if I decide not to do that, then instead I'll go ahead and do track 2, which is the title of the EP itself, Abandonment After Hours. Abandonment After Hours, and this would take place between 1 a.m. to 2 a.m. And I believe Lost in Jersey City takes place at 3 a.m. to 4 a.m. So this is more like the scary eerie factor, because I'm slowing down these samples, and so technically you can call this as my first vaporwave album. And if you know what vaporwave means, then I don't have to explain it here. So there you have it. With animation class being so completely stressful, and because of the lack of availability for the softwares, we were unable to use Adobe Animate or Adobe Animate. I just briefly use it, but the animation you'll never get to see the bouncy ball animation, unfortunately. What I have in my archives of now, there's some good news for that animation. Like the only thing that I did save is just the animation from Pencil 2D. So I have my own bouncy ball, even though I no longer have the file for the Adobe Animate version of it. But it was just more. I wouldn't say it's professional anyway. None of the animations that I did was professional to begin with, like Disney. But it really is what it is, and so that's going to be number 5 animation. There was nothing wrong with the teacher. It was just only because of the software. So since I barely did anything, maybe it's just better that I just become a camera operator. So let's go on and talk about number 4 now. Number 4 is script writing or screenwriting, however you would like to pronounce it as. So both of these classes come from Professor Wager. I don't really now. I didn't really add any issues between. Actually, now come to think of it, I think number 4 should probably be English composition 2, or college composition 2, or English 2, whatever it is. So instead of I originally thought that script writing was stressful. Not stressful, but this was only because of ideas. So maybe instead I'll call it. So instead number 4 will only go to college composition 2. Now, I barely even did it. Not to say that I barely did anything, but you can probably say it's just like what you already learned back in English composition 2 or college composition 1. If you already know that, then you know what you're doing in college composition 2. Great. My voice actually sounds a bit off, even my accent. Okay, but the point is, if you already know what you're supposed to do on English 1, then you know what you're supposed to do on English 2. Okay, but this time what you're going to be dealing with is just poems, and then you're still going to be dealing with short stories, but now you're going to be dealing with poems and plays. So that's what you're going to be looking at as well. And then even then, there's going to be citations. Like citations on the evidence on the MLA is going to be completely different. Now, I don't really hate her class at all since it's the same teacher. But then again, if you have patience with my professor, then you should be fine. But aside from that, the only good thing about this class is the policy. So I actually never ended up taking the second exam because I already did well on the first exam, and this was the midterm exam. So now the final exam is to go ahead and just do a whole 2 to 3 page paper. So right now I got to deal with that, and hopefully I actually did that because by the time I'm recording this, as of November 19th, maybe I am gonna get started on that project on at least on Friday or by the following week, probably during the week of short form slobs maybe. But otherwise, I actually want some things to get done before December because I want to chill. I actually need to take a chill pill. Not a chill pill, but I just want to relax on December and take a little break. Just go ahead and maybe just get cozy for a little bit. But that's what's going on. So otherwise, a decent class, but not really much to say. And now for number 3, I can say it's screenwriting or script writing. Now, again, I didn't really add any issues with these classes, but again, it's mostly just Studio Binder. It's basically videos from Studio Binder, and then you decide to go ahead and make some writing prompts. There will be times where I will have some ideas. There will be some times where I don't have any ideas. So, if anything, it's just basically up to the individual, not up to personal preference. So I don't have anything wrong. So again, I don't have anything wrong. There was nothing wrong with script writing. I just thought it was fun to begin with. It was fun doing some table reads, but if you get the hang of it, hopefully you'll become a better writer. So at least I'm gaining something. I'm doing something more than just to go ahead and do some essays, to do some reading reflections. But then again, script writing, even essay writing in MLA is completely different. And that's only because you're using 2 different fonts. But otherwise, that's all I can say. So script writing, you could say it's a little bit of fun, but if you got the hang of it, then maybe you'll find it fun. You'll find it interesting that you as a person can come up with a story, and so that's where missing divergence come from. That's only because it's just basically a fictionalized version of what I previously did back in high school and how I made it into college. So it's basically the story once again, just like episode 1 of The Loner, but I'll be fictionalizing it as a semi-narrative. But otherwise, that's all I can say. And now for number 2, it's 2-dimensional design. I feel like even as an art student, or even as an MNT student, I've been having some fun doing some art as well, just because I've been getting back on painting. Even then, I feel like I've been doing way better than what I already did with Mr. Ellis's class. Again, nothing wrong with him. It was just me that I got used to watercolor painting, and now I'm doing some acrylic painting. And I thought the evolution from just doing some freehand drawing all the way to just using the roller made me improve the quality behind each artwork. And so because the final project is going to take time, even then that's also going to affect the production quality of this show, but it's also going to affect how am I going to execute 5 things and then just put them all together into one final paper. So in that case, I'm talking about one final project. And so I think that's one of the most stressful things you have to deal with. But otherwise, it's one of the easiest class, and so nothing else to say. Just a fun class, and possibly if you go to art class, if you take any art classes with De Pasquale, then you're gonna have some fun. But I'll say this right now: whether you want to join the 360 Art Club, maybe you're just better just only taking his classes instead. Because I feel like once you get the hang of it, there really isn't much to do on the club itself. I didn't really see the reason why I decided to go ahead and think it was a good idea to join the art club. So again, it's the same thing that happened to the film club, but this time it's only because the PTK invited me to go ahead and just take their meetings, and so every 2 weeks I won't be with them. But even if I were to go ahead and take art classes, not art classes, but art clubs between Tuesday and Thursday, it's only for an hour. And then really when it comes to the music club, you can just spend a lot of time just listening to their music, listening to their rehearsals until the store gets closed, until the Dash Center is closed, up until 5 o'clock. So at least I'm listening to something, and maybe I'll go ahead and take some inspiration behind it. That's where I would say they're also part of the documentary, but more as a background image. All right, so as I said before, two-dimensional design or any other art classes that you go to, I still believe it's one of the easiest classes that you can. It's one of the easiest classes where you can get yourself an A. But if you decide to go ahead and join the art club, maybe reconsider, because there will be some projects that you could do, but the majority of them will just be done at home. So I don't really see the point of joining them back, only because I barely participate in the PTK. As I said already, the PTK club is inviting me to go ahead and join their bi-weekly meetings. And I feel like I've been doing a lot there, and even though I'm only just watching them and then having some little fun on the quizzes, but it really is what it is. It's also an hour-long meeting as well, but at the end of the day, it's either it's either, even as an art student, you just get yourself go to the art club and think that you're abandoned, because nobody's really going to be there for you. The girls, as I said, the girls have their own group. They have their own conversations. They have their own whatever they got to do. They have their own issues. They have their own problems. And so if you're a new student who decides to go ahead and join the club, then you're only going to be there for a week. You're only going to be there for an hour, but you're barely going to do anything. So maybe there are clubs that I would like to go ahead and reconsider. So if I decide to replace them with the Poetry Club, my accent sucks, by the way. If I decide to replace them with the Poetry Club, then maybe I'll go ahead and try to make my own poems. Maybe. If I decide to replace that with the Drama Club, maybe at least then I'll go ahead and see how drama works. Even my same professor already knows. She studies in that case. She's also part of the survey of drama class as a professor, similar to college composition too. But unfortunately for me, I won't be taking some drama classes. And the thing is, I just don't like musicals at all, but who knows. I actually don't know what they do in the drama club, so I don't really have anything in plan. And now for number one, it's filmmaking. At the end of the day, I can't really talk a lot about why I love to make movies, or at least love to make short films, but at the end of the day, if there's one thing I've learned out of Mr. Smith, it's basically how you don't really need to make a whole movie, but at the end of the day, it's okay to tell a story within 2 to 3 minutes, even as far as 5 minutes. But even then, he's also talking about storyboards as well. So I'm just responding to one of the episodes that's already up back in June. So as a response, I actually did that. I actually got some help from Eric, even though I'd never seen him. Even though nowadays I don't really see him that much, or even Jazzy. I don't really talk to neither of these boys. Not because I hate them. Actually, not because I hate. they have their own issues, they have their own groups, and so, really is what it is. When it comes to isolation, then at least I have someone, and that's myself. But otherwise, with filmmaking, I've been having some fun. And even though a majority of what I already did were produced on the phone, maybe I wish if I were to go ahead and use my mirrorless camera more, that I actually would have gained more experience into filmmaking. Even there was a guy who once had a cinema camera. I actually don't even know when will we go ahead and decide we can go ahead and borrow the school's camcorders and make our own movies. Because instead, like, what we do use instead is just the cameras from Lumix or Panasonic. But that's the only way where you get to make videos, or the only way where you get to make films. But otherwise, that's the same. The same thing goes to filmmaking as well. Like, if you're ever going to consider going to the film club because you love filmmaking, maybe just reconsider and see if you have a purpose. And like I said already, I think I already milked them off already, which means I'm not going to talk more about them up until the next episode. But as I said, even though I love to write stories and even like to write my own narratives, I think filmmaking is fun, not just fun, but But at the end of the day, the only constant in this class is just editing, because once it comes to individual projects, then yes, editing can just be a pain in the ass, and that's one of the only reasons why I decided to make an episode titled "Jon Takes a Detour," mostly because I've been announcing that I want to take a little break, and so hopefully, if I get that break, hopefully I'll reconsider and maybe I'll rethink of my ideas, and maybe we'll just see what's going to happen for season 3, season 4, season 5. I don't know, but till then, I think that's all I gotta say. So again, I've been having some fun with filmmaking, but the only thing I will say is there isn't a faster way to edit your videos fast. Like, whether you use a template or whether you use an AI software, an AI tool, I still think you're better off doing these things manually. Even though they say it's the wrong way to do it, just go for it. Because I feel like if you were to be a filmmaker and you want to make it into the industry, then no AI tool can help you. So to recap, number 5 is animation. Number 4 is college composition 2 or English 2. Number 3 is script writing or screenwriting. Number 2 is two-dimensional design. And number 1 is filmmaking. Till the next time, this is Jon Inahuazo once again, or if you know me, it's the Loner. I don't even know why I keep doing this. But until then, this is me, the Loner, once again. And yes, this is going to be the penultimate episode of season 2. And yeah, you can say the season didn't really do well as season 1, but it really is what it is. So till the next time, I will catch you guys next week with the last episode for the second season, and it's my coverage of the film festival. So hopefully you'll see me there, and hopefully my film makes it into the festival. Because if I do, then maybe I don't even know if I'll join back. But I will say this. I have a film idea, but if that's only if they're interested for me to come back. I don't know. I don't really need to wait for someone to tell me to come back. If I decide to come back, then that's on me. All right, but as I said, if I have a film idea, maybe I'll try to talk about it in the near future. But until then, I think I said enough. I'm already reaching into 24 minutes. I'm going to get out of here. See you next time.
This has been a production of the Essex County College Podcast Club. Copyright 2024, all rights reserved.